the work that you talked about doing on these airwaves when you were here a couple of years ago to get to the place that you are now, that you're going to be chronicling in your book, what was the actual turning point for you?
When I for years, I was the gold standard of the black community was the hyper masculine black male. And that
Mm,
was my goal. And that's what I became. And because of that, I held on to rage, resentment towards my father, wouldn't release the trauma of the murders of my two brothers. And so
mm,
here it is, I get married and I had no idea how to access or assess a situation and access the gamut of other emotions that God has given me. So there was no way I could love my wife like I even desired as a man, because when I grew up in Detroit, you know, you were at risk if you held a woman's hand in public when you were like 18 or 16 or through 18, you would get rushed. They would test you to see if you was tough enough to walk through a hood, a certain neighborhood with this girl, or don't even think about going to a Def Jam or a rap concert at Joe Louis Arena with a girl. You would get what we say, bum rushed or whatever. And so this mentality carried over into marriage. And what
mm,
shifted for me, Karen, was when my mother had developed dementia. And here I is. I'm just a masculine male, so all I knew how to do was provide, protect, be strong, deal with the pharmaceutical companies who were taking her money. Just being just masculine, which is good. We need those attributes as men. The problem came in when I needed to be tender, when I needed to be long suffering, when I needed to comb her hair, when I needed to do her nails, when I needed to bathe her. I had
mm.
not allowed myself to be a human. I stayed stuck in just being a masculine male and fell under the masculine mandate, which is the culture's order for men to only operate under masculine attributes. When I started breaking free from what I call misconstrued masculinity, or basically a misunderstanding of what it means to be a man, because we've allowed one adjective to define us, you will never hear a Black woman say, I'm a feminine woman, because Black women have to be anything and everything they have to be at any given moment. So
Mm.
you'll be anything. You'll be a fighter. There's a masculine attribute. You'll be a lover. You'll be a nurturer. But as men, for some reason, we feel this pressure to only be masculine, dogmatic. And so because of that, when I started loving my mother from my heart, when I started living from what I was feeling instead of what I feared, I broke free from emotional
Wow.
incarceration. And so here it is now. I'm a comprehensive man where I could cry publicly. I could hold my wife's hands publicly. I can do anything. I'm free. And so a lot of our brothers, because of the culture, I mean, I grew up in hip hop. I was a popular DJ, a battle DJ, matter of fact. I toured with Public Enemy and X Clan. And so our music, it personified as a man. You didn't see a rapper smile in late 80s hip hop and 90s hip hop on the album cover. One of my favorite artists at the time was Rakim. His song was I Ain't No Joke. I can go down the line. E40 had a song, I Practice Looking Hard.
Yeah.
Basically, he in the mirror practicing looking hard, because I had to do the same thing. Or you would get in Detroit, we would call it checked in, where they'd take your clothes from you. So all we could be, Karen, was just masculine. All we could operate is under just masculine attributes. And as a result of it, similar to the Pit Bull Terrier, which I discuss in my book, here's a breed that was bred to fight and protect only. What happened
Mm.
to this breed over time? He became, or she became, unstable, volatile, and now this dog would what? Start attacking people randomly. Okay, if it not for like several dog initiatives trying to rescue this breed, we would have never known that the Pit Bull Terrier is also a loving companion
Oh
and
my
family
God.
dog. Yeah,
Mm.
and so
I
this
just,
is what's
there's
happening to
one, my
men.
neighbor has one and her
Yeah.
name is Maya. And she
Mhm.
came up to me today and, sniffed me and then licked my hand. And
Mhm.
pit bull, I wasn't at all afraid. You're
Mhm.
absolutely right. The sweetest dog you ever want to
Mhm.
meet.
Yes.
Oh,
And so when
continue.
you
I'm
think of
sorry.
toxic masculinity, is really no such thing, because masculinity is just an adjective. Okay, so a man becomes toxic when he allows himself to only live under masculine attributes. And that's
Whoa.
what's happening.
Oh, wait, stop. I'm sorry. Hi.
Hi.
I've been typing to Karen. Did you hear that quote? And I've been typing. I'm like, oh, I need this. You said so much, and then I Karen, I don't, let me know if I need to step back. You know, I'm willing to follow your lead, but I have some questions I just need to follow up with you on, if I could, brother.
Sure.
You mentioned that you were getting messaging, or the culture was confirming for you that this was the way to be. This is how men show up. Can you talk a little bit about what form those messages came in? How it's one thing to say we live in a masculine society, but what was it at your young age, other than the fact that holding the girl's hand was going to get you rushed on the block?
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Where were the messages coming from? How were these messages being communicated to you? What elements in the culture were the most powerful communicators of this type of messaging?
Well, first and foremost, being in youth work for almost 20 years now, the most influential person in the home or community is the parent. And so from my father, I learned quickly that I couldn't cry. I had to be tough through every emotion. And as a result, Dr. William Frey discovered, that tears not only contain tears as a result of emotional pain or trauma, not only contain 98% water, but also stress hormones. So to tell a boy or a male not to cry, you're telling him to suppress what he's feeling, and suppression leads to depression. And so that was the beginning. So after I said, okay, cool. From that point on, I saw my father's promiscuous ways, okay? He'll pick me up. First of all, he couldn't stay married to my mother because he was unfaithful. And then after that, every Monday was a court-ordered day for us to be together. I would see a different woman in the car with him. So that programmed me to say, okay, women are to be objectified, not loved. And so that was another message. And then when you think, I came up during hip hop, what they consider the golden era. It was certain songs I could play that would make people fight instantly because I understood the power of music and the sonic waves of certain songs. They use it actually in the military for torturing people. And so it's so many influences. But then, when you go back even further to slavery, so you got to think, and I talk about this in my book, because my grandfather was lynched, okay, and beaten and lynched by the police in Fort Pierce, Florida. And so think, let's go before him, okay, and you see one of your children auctioned off like a puppy, but you got 5 other children and a wife you have to take care of. Your heart is crushed, you're grieving, you're angry, you feel all these emotions, and you can't do anything. You can't even express it. What happens now is that, you have to be, the man had to stay a protector and a provider. So the way, when we got free of that, my father's way of showing me love was through working hard.
Yeah.
He could cuss me out and he would apologize, but the wounds, he already had cut me open, and he would apologize, but he would apologize by giving me money. And that never healed me. And so it's so many, cause and effects that, we have to, again, I tell people all the time, my desire is for us as African Americans, Black people, to have 100 years of where we can be stable. Because right now, like Karen, you mentioned earlier, everyone has their fists up. We're like this. When we're finally able to get out of this pandemic, we haven't grieved. I lost four friends to COVID. We haven't grieved. George Floyd, I can go on and on about all of the trauma we've experienced, especially as Black men seeing a white officer basically killing one of your brothers on TV. The phone broadcasted throughout the world. What does it do to you psychologically? It's telling you you're worth nothing. And so we have to fight that thought. That's why my subtitle is Waging and Winning the War Within. A lot of us, we don't win the internal battles before they turn into external wars. And that's what's happening. And that's what I do with the young men in our academy. I teach you how, like Dr. Strange did in, I think it was the Endgame, when he had to go through 14 million scenarios. Just pick the best one, the only chance they had to win. That's what I teach all the boys. How can you, in a split second, analyze all of your options and respond in a way that's only advantageous to you, where you don't make a detrimental life decision based on how you're feeling, but you respond instead of react. And that takes practice. But as long as we keep telling boys not to cry, not to feel, only to be a certain way, he can never have the freedom to, I call it feeling fear. I've lost so many of my friends who weren't allowed to feel fear because we would be called hoes. You know what I'm saying? So they would go to a block party. They know a rival gang there. They know the chances of them getting killed is 98%, a 98% chance of them getting killed, and they go end up getting killed. Because as men, especially Black men, we're not allowed to feel fear. We're told that, if you be fearless, that is impossible. Ask any father who loves his children, is it possible to be fearless? Because as soon as you see your kid walk out in front of you, it's like your heart leaving your chest. Like, where are you going? Especially you have a daughter and you love your children? It is impossible. However, Nelson Mandela said it best. He says, the brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. And that's what we have to understand and free our men from that. And that's what's going on in the culture. And again, I don't know, you had mentioned to me about a basketball player, and I heard the little sound bite. Again, if it's beef, hey, it's only one way to handle that. You understand? Because we've been trained you say something about me, I say something about you. There is no peace, bro. And that's just listen to our music. There is no reconcile immediately. So I'm not shocked. Whoever's beefing, that's just how you do it. We're taught that through media, movies. This is just how I get down. Get the gun and let's go. What you got something to say? Say it. Meet me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And so until we learn how to love each other, and that's a whole nother story. When I do conflict resolutions sessions, Karen, with men, and they're beefing, I say the first thing you need to say, stop saying he pissed you off. Say he hurt you. Because that was your brother. He hurt you, man. What you said hurt me. Go ahead, Karen. I see you got your fingers up.
I mean, you have to go. You can't stay past this time, but you got to come back. You got to come on the re-show. We got to talk about what is love. His name is Jason Wilson, Mr. Jason Wilson, Jason O. Wilson on the Twitters. The book is called Battle Cry. We're going to definitely have you on before the book comes out in September, but you're amazing. Awesome. I love you.
Love you too, my sister.